You're live.
I am. Okay, it says I'm preparing, but all right, so we are live. Let me just make sure that there we go. Okay, so hello everybody. So happy you're here. As you all know, I'm Megan Buer and I am with Robyn Openshaw today. And let me read a little bit of her bio because she has got such great stuff happening in her life. And I know you guys are going to be so excited to hear about her upcoming book and all this fun stuff. So Robyn is the author of 15 books. So a little personal backstory, Robyn is the first person that I started following like when social media came about, like what, 12 years ago or 10 years ago. I started following Robyn and that's the first introduction I had to healthy food, alternative living. And so I'm kind of geeking out over here because I love Robyn. So she's the author of 15 books, including the bestsellers, The Green Smoothie Diet and 12 Steps to Whole Foods. Her latest book is called Vibe. It's amazing. Unlock the energetic frequencies of limitless health, love, and success. And that is released this month. So that's exciting. She's a former psychotherapist, a university professor, and lectured in over 450 cities in the 6 years after launching her popular site, greensmoothiegirl.com in 2007. So I guess 10 years ago is when I started following you. She's a single mom to 4 kids who are now flying the coop, and she skis and plays tennis competitively in Utah and believes that everything is possible if you leverage the highest frequencies in the universe. So she's got a really great podcast called Your High Vibration Life. You can find that on iTunes, and then you can also find Green Smoothie Girl on Facebook, Instagram, all that kind of good stuff. So Robyn, so happy that you're here with us.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for having me, Megan.
Yeah, so we're going to jump in. I posted last week, you have a quiz about being an empath or a highly intuitive person or an energy healer. And I posted that to my group. And most people that took it came back and they sent a screenshot and said, very high, very high, very high in everything.
Which is unusual, by the way. That's your tribe. That's the people who are energy workers are going to be like this whole little subsection of highly energetically sensitive people. That's why you do what you do.
Exactly. So welcome to our highly sensitive little Facebook group here. So yeah, everybody that took this really loved the quiz. Can you tell us a little bit about, again, all these women came back and said, it says I'm an energy healer. It says I'm an empath. It says I'm intuitive. What does that mean? And what are some tips that you can give to these people that how to stay balanced? Because when you feel everything and it's hard to know what's right and to stay balanced. And what can you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, Megan, it would be fun to you and I just work together on this, of you asking your community if they agree with this statement, because I have a theory. I heard a podcast by a woman named Dominic, who runs Highly Sensitive Entrepreneurs group. And so, most of them are women, and they're all highly sensitive people, which, these are the people who, if you haven't taken the quiz and you're listening to this, I'm sure Megan will post it down below for any of you who missed it. But, they are people who have been criticized their whole life for being, why are you so sensitive? Is something I've been interviewing highly sensitive people. And when I say, when you were growing up, did people, and even as an adult, do people say, why are you so sensitive? And they usually start crying.
Yeah, exactly.
They usually start crying. If not then, when I get into about 4 or 5 questions, they get emotional because they start to feel validated or feel like, oh my gosh, is this a thing? They got told to stop taking things so personally. They've been told this in their work. They've been told this in their family of origin. They started hearing this by the time they were 7. They've learned to run out of the room, stuff their feelings, hide them, blunt them, and in unfortunate circumstances, maybe, develop addictions to try to blunt this, just overwhelmed with feeling. But what Dominic said is that in her group of highly sensitive entrepreneurs, the one thing that they all had in common, because obviously we're not all the exact same, just if we're highly sensitive. Were you highly sensitive?
Oh, totally. Yeah.
Okay. Very high. Were you very high on all of them?
Yeah, I'm very high on all of it. Yes.
Okay. Well, we kind of need you to be very high in the energy healer one. So,
Yes.
the one thing that they all had in common universally was they didn't want to be highly sensitive people. And my friend Megan, I had all my therapist friends. They all still practice in the field, and now I do this online thing. She said, I took the quiz 3 times. And I was like, why? Like, why? And she said, because I kept hoping if I would take it again that I wouldn't be a highly sensitive person. And so this makes me sad. And here's my theory is I'm hoping, and if not, we'll do a little bit of work here today, that your tribe doesn't see it as a bad thing. Mm-hmm. That your tribe is in tune with who they are, that is powerful in the universe, even if it causes them some distress, it causes them some suffering, to be the one who cries when everybody else around them is not crying. They're so moved by things that just emotions flow through them in bigger waves than they do the rest of us. I will tell you, I'm not a highly sensitive person. So how to keep it from tipping you over, right? That's
yeah.
the big question. And I would say that you're probably better at helping people with that than I am, because, like the funny thing is, like classic psychotherapy, like where I come from, my training was in looking at these old weird constructs from, it's not that there's nothing that Gestalt and Freud and Jung brought to the table. There's all these things, but, there's something of value there, or behaviorism or whatever. There was nothing about the fact that emotions are energies in motion. Mm-hmm. And your tribe understands this, but now what my new book, Vibe, is teaching is that, Einstein was right when he said everything in life is vibration. Everything is energetic. And we can talk about the vibrational frequencies of foods. We can talk about the vibrational frequencies of the different medications that we use. And what's important here to know is that a substance of a higher frequency can cause a substance of a lower frequency to increase. And that's why when you bring your best self, and I know I've worked with kinesiologists and energy healers, and if they're really, really honest and authentic and doing their very best work for the client, if you're having a crappy day and you're dealing with your own stuff, I have seen energy healers like leave the room, go clear their stuff, whatever their rituals are, to put containers around their own stuff, mm-hmm. so that they can be present and use their energies in a positive way for others. But, what's really exciting to me about your type, which is the most rare type, the energy healers, is what I think is really beautiful in that quiz is a question, and I wish I could answer it positively, but I can't. People don't say this to me, is that people say to you, just being around you is healing, grounding, calming, mm-hmm. for me. Mm-hmm. And so, if you were very high on the energy healer, you answered that question positively, which is, that's part of what you're doing as an energy healer, is with your own personal organization of energies, helping ground others. not just doing it with your words, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I think just starting to think in those containers. I know that you're a body code practitioner, and so you have and I'm not trained in body code. I actually did just interview Brad for my podcast. It hasn't gone live yet, but
nice.
In terms of chords and containers are not unfamiliar to you. But when we think about, objects as energies, and Tesla said the secrets of the universe are found in understanding energy, frequency, and vibration. I'm sure these are all quotes you've already shared with your audience, but these are energies, and that's hard for people to understand, especially if they're steeped in old physics, old Newtonian construct. No, these are molecules and atoms and electrons, and okay, until we get into the really woo-woo stuff, which I love talking to you and your audience, because I'm always having to down a woo for everybody else.
Bring on the woo.
But I could go 2 woos here, but if you and I are in a room together, if we're within 8 feet of each other, or like right now, we're digitally sharing energies. We're literally exchanging electrons. Mm-hmm. So if we're sharing electrons, that makes us not just in community, not in connection. It literally means we are one.
Yeah.
In so many ways, and that's really, really great news for an empath, because an empath knows that she bleeds into other people and they bleed into her. And it's a curse and a gift.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's an amazing, wonderful thing. And if I could help people develop one of those two, and those are the only two that I'm high in, empath and intuitive, but I'm not a highly sensitive person at all. Is they're skills. Like, there are people who are missing that. And I could like talk about the actual psychiatric diagnoses where people are completely missing any connection to intuition, but I don't want to make anybody feel bad who may, you know, have been diagnosed with those things, or not even mental health diagnoses, but just people who haven't been sort of standing on tiptoe to get into those higher frequencies, which is what you train people to do. I mean, that's just a metaphor, but you know, there are frequencies that you guys are hearing, seeing, tasting, however you sense energies. But I mean, you know, there's the whole sonic spectrum that Tesla came to the American continent to learn from, and he channeled Niagara Falls. He knew that Niagara Falls has a whole sonic spectrum, you know, light, sound, motion. And he was 20 years old, and he was like literally woken up by dreams in the middle of the night, dreaming about channeling Niagara for energy. Well, now let's take that down to a microcosm. We are channeling energies or not, or we're oblivious to it. But there are information sources. The empaths have information about other people that we should all be willing to pay thousands of dollars to access, but some of us literally don't have it.
Yeah.
Not that we don't have it, or we haven't gotten in tune with it. And it's second nature to empath. So the thing with an empath is to always be asking yourself, if you're feeling a lot of anxiety or feeling a heavy weight, or you feel like you can't get your stuff done, or energies are moving slowly through you, ask yourself, like the first question I would always go to as an empath, and I have to do this on a regular basis myself. I mean, I can tap myself out of it, right? But I always get clear with myself, like, whose stuff is this? That's a question I have to ask, because I will get just stuff all over me, and I have to go, oh, wait, I'm carrying my 17-year-old son's stuff. He doesn't even want me to carry it for him. Right. He doesn't want me involved in the fact that he got a traffic ticket, and I'm carrying around all his worry and his anxiety, and doesn't have the money to pay for it. I could pay for it, but I know that's not the right thing for him, and I'll get all funky about it. And so really getting clear with yourself, that's like my best tip for empaths, is whose stuff are you carrying right now? Mm-hmm. Because your own stuff's pretty heavy, probably, if you're like a regular human. You know?
We've all got the heavy stuff. So staying balanced. So seeing it as a gift, understanding that this is actually a gift that you have. It's not a curse. It does feel that way sometimes. I know for me, like before I understood what was happening, I just thought I was a crazy person. And then I realized, oh, okay, I'm empathic and I'm intuitive and I'm a healer and I'm a highly sensitive person and my son is. And so we feel things really deeply, and to notice, to see it differently, to change your perspective on that and see it as a gift. And then to ask, you know, when you're feeling anxiety, depression, overwhelmed, fatigued, lack of motivation, all these things, whose stuff am I feeling? What is this? Where did it come from? Is this my stuff, or is this somebody else's stuff that maybe I picked up when I was out grocery shopping, or it's my kids or my spouse's, or it's something I saw on social media that triggered something in me? And so I know for me, it's been, you know, because my energy is so sensitive, I have to surround myself with people, places, things, books, you know, social media accounts that are positive and make me feel good, rather than the opposite that drain me. And so, you know, it's different for everybody.
That's a really important point. And it goes to that, you know, there's 5 principles of quantum physics that I share in the book. This book doesn't come out till October 31st, but I have the first copy. And one of those principles that I mentioned before is a substance of a higher frequency can cause a substance of a lower frequency to increase. So if you understand yourself to be, you know, a healthy human being between 62 and 68 hertz of energy, and you know that other people, medications, foods, emotions of a higher frequency are going to raise you up, that's when you're able to get into those frequencies of creativity and joy and compassion, where service is easy. We don't have to think about service or gut it out. It's just, our empathic abilities take us there. But when we are living in high frequencies, when we're capable of all the greatness that we all want, we've all wanted to. I was showing you before we started this from the Heart Math Institute. This right here is an EEG of a person feeling frustration for 200 seconds. And you can see that it looks like frustration feels, right? Sharp, pointy, jagged, chaotic, unstable. Now look right here. This right here is the exact same person for 200 seconds in gratitude. Okay, I mean, it looks like gratitude looks like gratitude feels, right? That's why we like it. That's why we stop periodically, if we're smart, and go into a state of gratitude. There's no higher frequency state than being grateful. And so when we do that, we're smooth, flowing, consistent. And this is a good thing for empaths to realize, is to stop, check out of these negative emotions, ask them what they're there to teach us. Because, anger isn't a bad emotion. Anger is an instructive emotion. Anger provokes us to, or fear. Those are the two low vibration emotions, but it's not that they're bad. It's that they're bad when they're chronic. They're bad when they're stuck. And so getting those, leveraging those, figuring out what they're there for, acting on them, making whatever change, whatever energetic shift we need to get out of those states. Like, we don't want to be in fear all the time, or we're going to have cortisol spikes and high blood pressure, and we're going to age 4 times faster, and nobody's going to like us. And another, to that point, another one of the principles of quantum physics that we talk about in the book, and we're not talking about principles of quantum physics because we like talking about physics, right? I'm really glad that I was an English major in college and went to school to be a therapist, because I didn't have to actually take any more physics. But I talk about these principles of physics as they relate to our own personal health and happiness. Those are the ones that I picked to talk about in the book, because these discoveries of Einstein's have everything to do with whether we're healthy and whether we're happy. But another principle that we explore in the book is that like attracts like. Mm-hmm. And this really helps us understand why we meet people. I mean, the first time I met you 2 years ago at a conference, Megan, there's like a clear, obvious connection. Well, now we understand that a little bit better, right? Yeah. But when we go to these things, we meet people, and don't lie now. Oh, everybody listening to think whether this has happened to you. You have met people. I don't care if it's a waitress who waits on you at a wet restaurant, or you're at a cocktail party or whatever. It's people who, like, they literally make you almost rock back on your heels because it's dissonant frequencies, right? It's like when you play a white and a black note next to each other on the piano. If we're talking about like sound frequencies, those are dissonant. I don't want to hear that. We want it to resolve. We want to play a third apart on the piano, not a half step apart on the piano. For whatever reason, there are people who we are repelled by, mm-hmm. or we're repelling them, and we're always attracting and repelling. And when I say that, I'm sure people are thinking, well, I don't want to repel people. I want to get to a place where I attract everyone. No, you don't. No, you don't. Yeah. You want to be repelling some people and some things, right? And so, and then there's other times that you're at the same cocktail party, and there's someone, you maybe met them for 60 seconds, or maybe you haven't even met them, but they're just like, it's almost like they're pulling you across the room, and you spend 60 seconds with them, and you're figuring out when you can do lunch together.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, totally. It's that vibe. It's feeling people out. And that's a gift, again, with people that are empaths or intuitive or highly sensitive, is we feel that. Like, we can't just go to a party and be neutral. Like, we are feeling everything out, and like, I can totally vibe with this person, and I don't really want to talk to that person. And so I think, and that can be really overwhelming to feel all of that at the same time that you're trying to function like a normal human being. And so I think a lot of it is that whole principle of something of a higher frequency can raise a low frequency. So doing things, like the way we ground this into our day-to-day lives, is we need to be doing things to raise that frequency. So, if it's using essential oils, or going to yoga class, or meditating, or spending time in nature, or, I'm constantly telling my tribe of people, you've got to do something every day that brings you joy. And the reason why I tell my clients to do this, because all my clients want homework. They want something to do after our sessions that I say, okay, go do something that brings you joy. And the reason why I say that is because when we finally get into these energetic states of gratitude, appreciation, joy, creativity, love, that's when our body goes into a state of healing. That's how we create health in the body, in the mind. And so as an empath or a highly sensitive person or whatever you are, you know, I think you have this internal guidance system that is constantly telling you yes or no. And so if you're feeling good, keep moving towards that. And if you're feeling anxious or depressed or angry, then you know that's your body's signal saying something isn't jiving here. And we change it and we move on. It doesn't mean, that's who we are, and we don't have to get all heavy with it, because I think that's another part of being an empath is we can get really heavy with this stuff. And all these negative things are just little signals the body's saying, hey, like, let's shift, that person isn't right, or this food isn't right, or whatever it is, let's shift over. And so it's just kind of a game that we can start playing and seeing what makes me feel good, what brings in that feeling of gratitude. And, the other day, I think Monday or Tuesday, I was at yoga class and had gone through the whole class. And right at the end, we were like getting ready for Shavasana. And the teacher was like, I want everybody to just tune into the energy of gratitude. And I like immediately start bawling my eyes out, like laying there on the ground. Cause it's like, all of a sudden I was there and I was like in this vortex of gratitude. And I was like, oh my gosh, everything's so beautiful and life is amazing. And I didn't stay there for more than a couple minutes, like my life went on as normal, but that's your body saying, yes, this is truth for you. This is right. And so we just keep following these little pulls here and there. So, yeah.
Well, that's the perfect segue to talk for a minute to the intuitive.
Mm-hmm.
And I love intuition. I think it's a powerful source of information that most people in the Western world, where we're very linear thinking, we're very, very sort of left brain dominant, like our heads should be going like this because we so overvalue things of the left brain. When, I have finally learned to listen to my intuition, even when I can't explain it. And that's the problem intuitives have, is they have all this information, but they don't know how to express it because they think people are going to think they're weird, and they can't quantify it. They can't explain why. But, this is like, we could talk about cocktail party talk, like how you explain to someone at a cocktail party that you know things that you don't know. Well, this would validate it a little bit, is Malcolm Gladwell's book, Blink.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of goes through a lot of the thin slicing research, and there's dozens and dozens of published studies now in different areas of life. And I can, if you want to, just tick through a bunch of them, where researchers have shown that what we ascertain in the first few seconds about a person, a situation, a card game, assessing whether someone's gay or straight, a police and fireman in a split-second decision-making process where there's guns flying and people with their hand in their pocket, and they have to, by and large, this information that comes to us in a split second is accurate.
Mm-hmm.
Then all the facts come to light, whether it takes days or weeks to process it, gather the facts, whatever. The vast majority of the time, the information that we assess in a matter of a split second up to 10 seconds is highly accurate. And that seems to be an argument for judging. There's a lot of, talk in the culture about don't judge, but it's ridiculous. We have to judge. If we get cold pricklies on our neck and we're walking in a city to our car with our 5-year-old and our intuition screams at us, run, you better judge. You better be able to judge, right? Like, we have to judge every day. Like, how'd you decide what college you were going to go to? Judging is important. There's useful judging and less useful judging, or appropriate and inappropriate judging, but we all have to make decisions based on, and we don't always have all the facts, and sometimes we have to make a decision today and we won't be able to assemble all the facts for the next month. And that's where intuition is so powerful. And the people who get quiet and listen to it, you got to realize science is proving every single day that intuition, not only is it really powerful and really accurate, but they're even starting to put together how, in terms of Newton's old concept of physics and biology, the vagus nerve goes all the way from two parts of your brain all the way down to the bottom of your gut. There may be dopamine squirting into your gut, you know, from glands in your brain. Your gut and your brain are so connected. So when people say I have a gut sense, that may actually be highly accurate.
Mm-hmm.
When we feel it in our gut, there's, you know, the vagus nerve starts at two different places, the ropes attached to two different places in the brain, and then it literally touches almost every single organ all the way down to the lower abdomen. So the vagus nerve may have a lot of answers for us why intuitives know stuff. And it's frustrating to science that we haven't been able to explain why do they know stuff without any facts to back it up. And so as an intuitive myself who's learned to, if my gut is screaming at me in a relationship with someone, at an event, and my intuition is telling me to do something different than I was planning to do, or that someone else is telling me to, or that the original plan was, I have learned to stop, make it concrete by saying words about it. And then the way I talk to other people about it, like a lot of times I see something that I feel like would benefit another person, and I ask their permission to share an intuitive impression. I'll say, you know, I have an impression, and if you're willing, I'd love to share it with you. And if I'm open and positive, don't make it ominous and like they're about to get told something that's critical of them. People always want to hear what that is. Yeah. People like woo. People don't want to go past their certain comfort level with woo into extra woos. But I mean, when Simon & Schuster bought my book, they said, hey, they're one of the big 6 publishers in the world. And they're like, we're pretty mainstream publisher here. We just do one woo here.
You can't go to woo woo, but you can stay with woo.
No. So intuitive, just like step into it. You have marvelous power. You know, learn ways of expressing yourself with confidence, but humility. And people receive me really well. And I've just tried to learn how to articulate my intuition. And I also sort of I invite them to accept it or reject it. Like I might make a joke about it. Like with this and a quarter, you can buy a phone call if you can find a phone booth.
Yeah.
You know, or whatever, just whatever joke, you know, but you don't have to necessarily be self-deprecating like that. But, you know, I really like to share my intuitive impressions with people. Mm-hmm. And I find that people receive it better than if I'm pontificating condescendingly about facts that I read in a book. I actually find that people receive my intuition well.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, you know, so what we can say to the intuitive people listening here is you're validated, you know, that all those feelings that you have are validated and that you can trust them. And I know for me, the biggest thing that I have to watch is my own thinking. And so there's a huge difference in the way that an intuitive impression comes to me and how that feels in my body versus the mind chatter and how that feels in my body. And another example, like a day-to-day example of this is, again, not too long ago at yoga class, like this is just really kind of what I'm into right now, but I had this question and I was really thinking about it and the details of it really don't matter, but it was just this thing and I was wondering if I should do it and I couldn't really I was dreaming about it and I woke up that morning and I was like, okay, I'm just going to take this to the mat. I'm going to take it to class and I'm just going to see what comes up. And so all morning I was like thinking about it. I was listening to podcasts about this topic. I was like, you know, just like all up here. I get to class and go through my whole class. I get to the end and I was like, oh, I completely forgot about this whole topic, this whole thing that I was ruminating about and researching about and thinking about and dreaming about. Like I got on the mat and I finally got present in my body, gone. Like it was just it wasn't even in my headspace. It didn't even cross my mind until I was like putting my shoes on at the end of class. And I was like, oh yeah, I was like supposed to like tune in and get an answer to that. But that was so telling for me of like, what is up here? It's just noise. It's just social media feed in my own head. It's just a book I read and it's just sitting here in my consciousness versus what's actually truth for me. And so when I have those moments, again, for you, maybe it's not yoga class, maybe it's a walk in nature, maybe it's meditation, maybe it's playing with your kids, whatever. You have those moments where you can really tune in and cut the noise out. And that's when you can, it's so much easier, I think, for me to trust what comes up. And as soon as we cut out the noise, a lot of the things that I think about or stress about or, you know, wonder if I should do, it's like just not, it's all just mind. It's just my brain talking. Like, it's not truth. It's not, you know, it's not truth for me. And then I get in my body and it's like, nope, that's not even a question. I don't even, it's like not truth at all. And so I think it's really important for intuitive people, empathic people, highly sensitive people to have some sort of practice where you are able to tune this stuff down a little bit and get in your body to clear out all the junk that's not yours, to clear out the headspace, and then finally like have those moments of clarity, because it can get so loud, like with all the stuff. I mean, this is for anybody, not just highly sensitive people, like between social media and the news and all that, it gets so loud in our heads. And so yeah, I think having practice.
And we're all sensitive. Like, all human beings are sensitive. And, you know, it's just that some of you have, some of us have really amplified, you know, sensitivities. And so, you know, my theory is, I can't yet prove this, but, you know, these chaotic frequencies in our environment, like the Wi-Fi, or, you know, I don't know if you were one of them, but at the conference you and I were both at in August, I think you were.
I was miserable the whole time. I like couldn't function the whole time.
I was fine, but I'm not a highly sensitive person. I think that the chaotic frequencies in our environment are extremely destructive for highly sensitive people. And all of these 4 categories of very special people. But you having all 4 categories, you're like maxing the chart on all 4 categories. There were several of you in the room who had to leave multiple times. And the minute you'd walk in, you just got swamped with it. And I could almost pick you guys out. You know, the energy healers.
Deborah, Wayne and I were like out in the back, like, oh my gosh, like we were having a hard time.
Well, and we should explain what that is. Everybody in there had their Wi-Fi on because our cell phones didn't work in there on regular mode. And the crazy thing is, this is like 400 wellness influencers. And so next year, trust me, the organizers of it are going to hear from me that they get up on the stage and they say, let me educate you a little bit about a health hazard. All of you, would you please turn off your Wi-Fi? I'll tell you, I have my Wi-Fi. I don't use it. It's my computer here that I'm talking to you with is grounded. My router is over there, but it's off in Xfinity. Like, it's off. My son can't use Wi-Fi anymore. And we have a plan that is unlimited data. We use T-Mobile, so it's unlimited data. So I can tell my children, never turn your Wi-Fi on unless you absolutely have to, and then turn it back off. And it's not that cellular data is not emitting. My phone's still emitting now and then, but if I'm not going to be using it for a few hours, then I put it on airplane mode. Now it's not emitting at all. But, you know, if your Wi-Fi is on, and oh my gosh, so much worse if your Wi-Fi is on in your car. I mean, I drive a Tesla. It's a battery-powered, you know, computer-driven car, and I don't use the Wi-Fi in my car. Like, you might be like, wow, why even drive a Tesla? It's a computer. You're driving around in a computer. But it's because I want those chaotic frequencies to be low. I don't want to get out of my car and feel all jangled and anxious and stressed. And so if you haven't thought about the chaotic frequencies in the environment, consider, you know, cleaning up the EMF or the electromagnetic frequencies. Not only are they radioactive, and the constant exposure to them, you know, is, you know, puts you at risk for your health, like things like cancer and also things like ADD, but also just as a sensitive person, it's getting in the way of those high frequencies that are giving you important information. You can't quite function. So you've taken it to the mat. Well, you know, when you're doing yoga, your whole brain is available. Mm-hmm. You're not, you know, like using a part of your brain. When you're at work and your child comes in to talk to you, it's hard to, okay, I need to take my whole brain out of this and tend to this child who's crying because of something that happened at school. Because that's not one of those times when, I mean, as empaths, we know this. Nobody has to tell us this, that when our child comes in crying and saying, my friend wouldn't sit with me at lunch and I had to sit all by myself and none of my friends are talking to me. That's not a time when you go, Can we do that? If I told you that as a mother of 4 that I haven't gone, I'd be lying to you, right? I don't even know how many times I've done that, but we know, like as intuitives or as empaths, we know when it's time to turn, completely attend, drop it, get off the phone.
Yeah.
Whatever, right? I mean, this is an example of these information sources that are critically important. I mean, what if we were that mom who has a child who desperately needs us and we're like, I need to do my work, like, you know.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's really just about being present and, you know, I'm constantly telling clients, like, go outside, put your feet in the grass, you know, like we live in the country for a reason. And it's because being in a crowded, busy Wi-Fi city is really, it's a lot for my son and I. And so we live out on a few acres and we have a creek and we have chickens and like, we can just, the kids can run and we can be barefoot and we have access to nature. And we did that very intentionally. And not that everybody can do that, but you can go outside and touch a tree or take your shoes off for a minute and step in grass and really start to, that's why we all feel better when we go to the ocean, is because all those frequencies and all that stuff that's built up starts to wash away. And so I think for intuitive people, the biggest thing is just to really analyze, if you're not feeling good, there's a reason why. And that doesn't mean we have to go into fear and we have to go into like, oh no, like I need to fix myself. There's something wrong with me. Because this is a huge part of my message, is reminding people that there's nothing wrong with them and that they are the magic pill and that anything outside of them is not going to heal them. It will support them, but the healing comes from within. And so I think it's about, you know, if you have that intuitive gift, finding these little practices to tune in and to trust that. So if you're doing intuitive eating, or if you're doing, you know, if you aren't feeling good and you haven't been feeling good for a while, not to just start reading all these books and trusting and thinking that an answer is somewhere outside of you, but going within and saying, what do I need? Is it Wi-Fi? Maybe I do need to change my diet. Maybe I do need to go see a naturopath or a healer, but that answer is going to come from within. You're going to know what you need to do. Somebody, you know, like some diet guru might not know what's best for you. And so I think we take in all this information and we start to think, well, that's truth and that's truth and that's truth, when the truth is really within. And that's for everybody. But I think the people that we're talking to here today, we feel that deeper, and but it can get muffled. And so we just have to clear out, if it's Wi-Fi or if it's somebody else's junk or whatever, clear it out so that you can get clear with what's truth for you. So I wanted to just ask you, I'll only take a couple more minutes of everybody's time here, but I did want to ask you, what is, you know, my tribe of amazing people here love to know, what can we do right now to feel better? So a lot of my mostly women in my group here, some men who are maybe feeling anxious, feeling overwhelmed, feeling stressed, feeling that confusion of there's something wrong with me and what do I need to do to fix myself? And so what is something that these people can do? Robyn, if you have any like quick tips, just how can somebody raise their vibration to feel better right now in this moment, so that they can get into that state of healing and joy and regeneration?
Yeah, I'll give you a link, Megan, afterwards, and you can put it down for anybody who wants it. Put it down below to get the hardback book free. If they just chip in on shipping and handling of $9.95. By the time the book publishes on October 31st, we won't have that deal anymore, but I have a little stash. And so, get the $26 book free with shipping in on $9.95, shipping and handling. But the whole book is about all the scientifically known ways to raise your vibration. But I often get asked, like, what's the one thing? Like, what's the one most important thing? And I can't answer, because I can narrow it down to 2. First of all, I love the idea of letting go of the diet cults and the calorie counting and the worrying about how many grams of protein, fats, and carbs. Those are stupid, old Newtonian constructs that have nothing to do with whether we're healthy, nothing to do with whether we're happy. That's why so many of the women that you and I serve in our careers are frustrated and sick of diets. I'll give you a shopping list. It's the 200 highest vibration foods. My one of my two answers is get a quart of green smoothie in every day, which sounds a little bit like greensmoothiegirl.com. But the reason is the 3 highest vibration classes of foods are, you might be surprised by this, the superfoods won't surprise you. So the second highest is actually fruit.
Mm-hmm.
It's fruit. And I'm not saying to make an all fruit smoothie. I still am a fan of keeping the fruit minimal and getting lots and lots of greens in there. But greens is the third class. And that's what's been in my green smoothie for 20 years. That's how I lost 70 pounds and ditched 21 diseases. So I don't give a crap about calories. Calories are 170 years old, and they don't serve anybody except for the processed food industry, because the only value to, evaluating foods by calories is so that the food industry can standardize. That's like its entire usefulness. And so I'll give you a shopping list and print it out and look for those 200 highest vibration foods and eat more of them. Don't count them and worry about how many grams of protein, fats, and carbs. Nobody did that. Do you think like 200 years ago when nobody had cancer, nobody was also counting calories. Nobody did, like protein, fats, and carbs, that wasn't even a thing. So that's one thing, is just getting a lot of high vibration foods in one 10-minute habit. Huge win, huge win. But the other one is, and you kind of mentioned this, because you talked about going outside and that you're clear. I want to make sure everyone understands that when you walk on the beach or when you lie in the grass, you don't just feel amazing because it reminds you of your childhood. There's that, but there's also the fact that the Earth's core has a vibrational frequency of 528 hertz, and it is a known highly, highly healing frequency for human beings. So when we go out and we get as much of us in contact with Earth as possible, our feet is great. Sometimes I just go lie in the grass while I'm on the phone during the day. I do this every day if the weather permits. But at the same time that you're out there, hug a tree. See, I can say that to you guys when I'm talking to some other, shows. I'm not necessarily going to the hug a tree stuff. But the point isn't just being in contact with a higher vibration source than us and connecting to that source. It's also, we are discharging those dirty energies that we pick up during the day. And we're picking up a lot of antioxidants. We're electron exchanging. We're getting rid of the stuff we don't need. We're picking up stuff that we do. And also, while you're out there, while you're doing that, do several other things at the same time. Take up to 30 deep breaths. Really inhaling to the very top, take one more sip, push out all that air, push out one more sip. 30 deep breaths, you're oxygenating, you're raising your vibration even more. If you can get in the sun, then you are an electrical being. You are charging your battery. You are made up of electrical energies. You have an electrical field. You also have an electromagnetic field, and it needs sunshine. In fact, while you're at it, before you go outside, drink a glass of water, because if we're electrical beings, we need water for conductivity. We need charging from the sun, and then go through a gratitude exercise, thinking of 10 things that you are just so astonished that you have in your life, just amazing little miracles. They could be like clean sheets. It could be something that simple. So do those 5 things at once. So let's see, sun, deep breathing, grounding on the ground. Do some yoga stretches. You're actually twisting toxins out of your spine. You're getting those energies moving through you. We don't want stuck energies. That's how we get sick. So I know I'm not teaching you anything that you don't know. That's why we're flying through this instead of drilling down. But go outside and do several of those things at once, and you're getting sustainable energy from that. You're not getting a quick hit to the neurological system of a stimulant. You're getting energy that's going to make you feel 10 hertz better for hours.
So the best way to charge our batteries would be to go make our green smoothie, go outside, sit in the sun, stretch, breathe, and start. You can either say it in your mind, you can write it in a journal, you can say it out loud, and just start naming off everything that you're grateful for. And that will shift your energy so quickly. Even just hearing that and saying it, I'm like, oh yeah, that feels really good. And it's amazing. Again, every one of my clients wants something to do. And so every time I end a session, I always say, go outside, go do something fun, go for a walk, excuse me. There's so much happening in our bodies, in our minds, in our emotional bodies when we go outside and we shake it off, like when we move and we shake all that excess energy off. And, you know, sometimes even for me, like if I've been doing a lot of client work one day and it's starting to feel kind of heavy, I go outside and I literally shake, like I stomp my feet and I shake my hands out and I just, you know, like get it out. And
it's, you know, it can be any ritual that works for you. When I'm playing, so I'm a competitive tennis player, and when I'm playing a match and somehow like everything has shifted and we're losing and we're just losing game after game, I'll literally go like this. And I'm sure my teammates wonder what I'm doing, but I'm clearing the energies of what just happened off of me. And it's ritual, but it seems to turn things for me. But get the, Megan, get the link for the 5-in-1 vibe raising videos, because I just told you a bunch of things to do at once, but we have 3 videos, and one of them is a 10-minute yoga flow, and there's a gratitude meditation that you can just, and these are free for you. You can listen to the gratitude meditation while you follow the yoga flows, while doing your deep breathing out in the sun in contact with earth. And it's remarkable. The other one is second one is a Tai Chi flow, where you're actually, it's empowering because you're actually physically moving energies. And then the third one is an emotional release video with my friend who's probably not nearly as gifted as you are, but helping people just release some negative emotion while they're doing the same thing. Sit on the ground, be in the sun. They seem like such small things. It's like, who is it, Naaman in the Bible, who went away sorrowful because what he was told to do is so simple, but sometimes it's the small, simple things in this complex technology age that really make a difference for our vibe.
Yeah, I'm so excited. I want to download those videos as well, because that sounds fabulous. And I think the one last thought is just, you know, these gifts that we all have, if it's intuition or you're a highly sensitive person or an empath or a healer or whoever you are, or all of the above, these are gifts that we have, and we just have to learn tools to navigate them, because we really can thrive as a sensitive person. And especially with intuition, that is a gift that we all have. We don't have to qualify for that at all. I think a lot of times in our upbringing, we think, well, we have to be doing these certain things to qualify for insight or for gratitude or love, or, you know, I have to do this to get this, when the vibrations of love and gratitude, health, joy, intuitive gifts, these are all things that are natural, innate gifts, and nothing can take that away. Sometimes we just have to quiet our minds and move energy out, but there isn't anything that you have to do to qualify for these things. And so, but you know, we can add in these tools, the green smoothies, the high vibration foods. You know, something I really love to do for each of my clients is I will muscle test. I have this whole list of foods and I muscle test, what does this person need? Because we're so used to hearing, well, don't eat gluten and don't eat sugar and don't eat dairy and da 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 da. But what I like to do is the opposite of, here's a list of foods that your body actually really, really wants for healing. And that might be emotional healing, that might be physical, but I give them this list. And so go eat those, you know, and so but you can do the same thing. You can look at this list and you can say, oh man, that sounds really good. Well, trust that feeling, you know, oh, spaghetti squash, like that jumped out at the page at me. And maybe that's because your body really wants spaghetti squash for healing on some level. And so trust these insights that come. And, you know, Robyn, I think we could probably talk for like 3 more hours, but I'm going to let you go. I'm going to put a ton of links in the comments here where you can find these videos. You can take the quiz to see if you're an empath, if you haven't already done that. Robyn has this link to her book for free right now, which is totally amazing. Anything else you want to, anywhere else they can go to find you, or anything else you want to leave us with, Robyn?
Yeah, I'm at Green Smoothie Girl, 3 words, on Facebook. Your High Vibration Life on iTunes is my podcast. It's all very much in keeping with what you teach, Megan. So thank you so much for having me today.
All right. Thanks so much. I hope everybody has a really great high vibing weekend, and we will see you soon.
Take care.
Bye.